Welcome to Little Birdie Podcast. I'm your host, Nick Heathcote. I'm joined by SJT, Sammy Jane, Todd. How are you?
I'm feeling fantastic today.
Bakery treats means hangover, so a little bit of an asterisk there. We'll see if she's COVID hung or not. And we've got a new special guest in the studio, a man from footy ops world in the AFL, Luke O'Brien, OB.
Scotty and Sammy, how are you?
Oh, we're really, really excited.
Stoked that you're here.
Yeah.
Good to be here.
Now, you're frozen a little bit with the AFL and your role in AFL land until November 1, so you're on JobKeeper.
That's right.
And you got a bit of a history with the St Kilda Footy Club. As soon as you left the Saints, they've started to kick goals.
Yeah, absolutely. No coincidence there. So I was at the Saints for 6 years and a great 6 years. And now Rats is doing really good stuff. And he's a fantastic person. Can't talk highly enough of Brett Ratton.
They're a real community club, the St Kilda Football Club, from everything that I hear. You're a Caulfield grammar boy, and you've sort of got a bit of a background, neighbours. You've a bit of a neighbours fill-in. What's going on there? And you've got
really?
ties to Margot Robbie.
Oh, look, you've done some research. I was once an extra on Neighbours back in the day. Yeah, just in the background there, it's Lassiter's. So, that was good. And, Margot Robbie has sat on my couch. So that's the claim to fame.
Yeah, right. So what?
How did that happen?
Yeah.
So her ex-boyfriend, who was the pizza delivery boy, I'll give him a plug, little Jake Williams, good man, now lives in Sydney. He went out with her, so ex-boyfriend, and I was working at the Sandringham Football Club, and he was a player there, and we had a few beers one night, and Margot Robbie was there, and the rest is history.
Oh, so you didn't get to take her to the races and...
No, she came to our car park site at the races one year.
Yeah, right.
Her and Ashley Brewer, now Bold and the Beautiful fame.
Wow.
Just dropping a few names early.
You could be on the wrong podcast here.
Welcome back to Women's Weekly.
So they were both there, and I think they were there for about half an hour. But that's okay. They were there, and they fronted up, and that was it.
Obviously memorable.
Very much so.
Now, it's AFL Finals Week 1. The games have been set. You've watched a lot of AFL in the last sort of 7 years of your life, and we're going to talk AFL in our second segment. How do you think the state of the game is at the moment?
Look, I think we've been a little bit critical about the state of the game. I think this year we have to sort of almost write it off. The players have been living in hubs, out of a suitcase, away from home, away from close family. So I think the game's been played well. I think you have to give full credit to the AFL for getting the season out.
I agree,
and get the season done. So I think that's a tick in the first instance. I think the shorter quarters haven't helped scoring because there's a lot more fatigue, so the game's faster. So, I'd love to see more scoring, more goals, more ads, more revenue for the AFL, more pay for the AFL employees. That'd be great. I think we just have to sort of get through 2020. It's been one of those years, and I think the game's going all right.
In okay shape. What's the silver bullet rule change though? If you're in control, total control of the game. What would you like to change?
I'd like to change with umpiring. I think that I don't like how the umpires say I'm running backwards. Okay. I think everyone knows that now. So just come in after a stoppage, blow the whistle, grab the footy, just throw it up.
Yep.
No nominating ruckman. There's the two biggest people there. They're going to compete.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going backwards. Fine. Throw it up, get out of his way and get the game. I think the game needs to move a little bit quicker. I think there's too much stop-start.
Yeah.
And I think you've seen that in rugby union. That's been the downfall. Goes for far too long.
Yeah.
And now people are dropping off. So you've got to speed the game up a little bit, and I'd cap rotations as well.
Cap rotations?
Yep.
How many you want to see?
10 a quarter.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
That's what I do. Yeah, well, they're fit enough.
Yep.
You want to keep the best players out in the ground. You look at Dangerfield on the weekend.
Yep.
Kicks 3 goals 3 or wherever he kicked, and 3 shots on goal in a row. You want to keep them out there. So keep the better players out there. Limit rotations.
Okay. It's going to be a tough nut to crack, I reckon, Sammy.
I agree with your point about the state of the game, though. I think the fact that Finals Week 1's coming up next week, and some of the lines are really, really short. So they're all around
tight games.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that speaks to the fact that we do have a consistent, set of teams that are coming through. So they're all quite good.
Absolutely. And I think if you look at the teams, the 8 teams that are left, everyone can win it.
And the betting reflects that.
Absolutely. And I think that people will say that Collingwood are outsiders against West Coast. They've still got good players. Jordan De Goey is an out-and-out star.
Yeah, and that's no moral after last week.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the last time De Goey played at Optus Stadium, he kicked 6.
He's a good player.
So, it helps.
Yeah, big fanboy here. Now, looking at the rest of the show, we'll talk about the qualifying and elimination finals, the early odds there, and some angles in premiership betting. The NRL, talking about pay cuts, 25% of staff cut and $50 million to be saved. St. Peter V'landys, not sure if you know him, he's wielded the axe. And there's another really big story developing with the Melbourne Storm threatening legal action over the Broncos poaching CEO, David Donaghy. Matt Tripp doesn't muck around, does he?
No, not at all.
Your ex-boss.
He is my ex-boss, you're right.
Hey?
Yeah, quite an operator. Love to be half as successful as him.
He's absolutely flying. Now, the US Open golf was last week. Big bad Bryson. Our guys were skeptics, but he's muscled them out of the rough and he's found a way to win. The mad scientist is changing the game, whether Brooks Koepka likes it or not. It's amazing transformation, don't you think, OB? He's gone from a bit of a runt like myself. Imagine if I came out and added 40 pounds next season. I think I'd start to hit the pill a long, long way. What do you reckon?
Absolutely. And, I think, Brooks has come out and been quite critical of Bryson, but I think that's good for golf. People are talking about it. People are talking about him. They're talking about Brooks. So I think it's good for the game. No longer we're just talking about Tiger Woods and, and how good he is.
More characters.
Yeah, that's right.
More
Absolutely.
narrative.
I do like talking about Tiger, but I think you're right. When was the last time that golf had a bad boy in it?
Oh, John Daly, probably.
Yeah, John Daly.
When was that?
Yeah, well, Tiger was a bad boy for different reasons.
Yeah, exactly.
right.
But,
Yeah. But it's all's forgiven.
And I don't think any Australian would have finished that low in a major for a long time either.
No. Yeah, it's a fascinating space. And the US Masters is the next one on November 12. So that's going to be off the back of the Melbourne Cup Carnival, which is amazing, and the Origin. I don't think I'll sleep for 2 weeks. I'll just be betting my absolute brains out responsibly. And the next two majors at Augusta, which is incredible. Also, a quick look at racing. Shared Ambition, I thought, is knocking the door down from the Wallace stable. He looks right on track for a Caulfield Cup or Melbourne Cup tilt, depending on how many internationals come across. It's Caulfield this Saturday. Great Caulfield Guineas preludes for the Colts and Phillies. And that means the Caulfield Cup Carnival is very close. It's shattering that we're not going to be there, given the draconian measures down here. We're all sort of going to be locked up. And the big news this week is Mo Unger targeting the Guineas. This horse looks like a machine. I tipped it up last week as the horse to follow, and I'm very happy that it's going towards the Caulfield Guineas. They offered around $17, and I think he's probably around the $4, $5 quote this week. The Group 1 Golden Rose is this weekend. It's the biggest race in New South Wales. I think it's the best race on the whole calendar for the year in Sydney, or despite them promoting a different sprint race. We've got Matt Taylor, Dream Team Matt, going to talk Golden Rose. And when you do the form, OB, you probably don't use puntingform.com.au, but professionals use it, don't they, Sammy?
They sure do. If you want to know what you're talking about, if you want to get the inside information, find out those sectionals, punt like a professional, you've got to use puntingform.com.au.
Yeah, I love it. That's how I find all my speed horses and horses with a lot of strength. You need it, don't you, OB?
Absolutely.
We're going to take a break and we'll talk AFL next.
Welcome back. You're listening to Little Birdie Podcast, and it's time to talk some AFL. First up with Dowson.
Dawson's Creek joins us, and we've got Luke O'Brien from the AFL as our special guest in studio. He works in football operations. So, Dowso, hit him with whatever you like for your little 5 minutes of fame.
Oh, well, I'll give him a bit of a reprieve. He's probably going to get some action from you, Scoot, on the state of the game. So I'll leave him alone. But maybe he can give me a bit of an introduction to the next segment.
Do you want to do the...
You go, Scooty.
Bad Beats? We might have to get him next week on that one.
No worries. So racing first, guys. Paddy Davies, the godfather of the Jockey Challenge. He got robbed on the weekend. With his main man, Daniel Moore. Thought he'd go the journey a little bit light in the saddlebags, and apparently did it once but not twice. So Paddy misses out by a point there, which is a bit painful. Young Lockie Newman was at it again with his same-game multis. Never puts Jackson McRae in his same-game multis, he reckons, but has put him in this one time for over 20 possessions. Now, I think Jackson McRae has scored 20 possessions every game in his life, except for this one.
I think Lockie needs to put both hands above the table. I think he's put him in. I think he's his banker every week, so I don't think Lockie's telling the truth.
And Zav Pinnock, who's a long-time listener and a good friend of the program, he had an 8-legger on a same-game multi Swans Cats game, 1875. And the last leg, he had the alternative line. You'd think the Cats against the Swans at minus 13.5 is pretty safe. And he would have been pretty nervous for most of that game, except for the last quarter when they put the foot down and start accelerating away the Cats. He's thinking they're home. All of a sudden, Tomo doesn't get that mark paid. The Swans kick a couple of junk late goals, and poor old Zav's left wanting. So they're the bad beats for the week, guys.
I reckon Zav might be bowling or doing a little bit of burner account action for Pig Russell. Yeah, man, the pig. It just sounds like a real pig bet, that one. Now, Dowso, we've got a little bit of a problem because we can't bet AFL this week. So we're going to have a little bit of a spell. So let's do a quick season review. And what teams have surprised you and overachieved and then underachieved?
Yeah, the overachievers for me was probably Brisbane. At the start of the year, I thought they might have experienced a bit of regression after their really solid year last year. I think they have had a bit of help with the 17-round season against just playing everyone once. They would have had to have played all of the top teams twice if it was a normal season. And, of course, being based at home, they've had a bit of a leg up there. So, but just on raw numbers, if you had said Brisbane was going to finish in the top two at the end of this season, I would have been surprised. So that's the one that's overperformed. Probably underperformance. The obvious one is GWS, grand finalists to missing the finals. And I don't think they have a lot of excuses. They've had good depth. They've got a good list. So, is it fitness? Is it attitude? Is it game style? And for me, all of those things really point to leadership/coaching. So I think they've got to have a pretty hard look at what they've done there this year at the GWS. And the other one that I'm and Scooty, this is close to our hearts. I'm a bit disappointed with the Hawks. I thought at the very least, we're knocking on the door of the finals, but we've missed it by a long way. So I'm pretty disappointed with the Hawks season. And the one that I give the mulligan to, and this won't be popular with their fan group because I'm seeing some of the stuff on Twitter. The Essendon fans are not happy.
Are they ever happy?
I give them a bit of a pass on their season. I thought they'd be a fairly middle-of-the-road sort of team, and their effort was really poor in the last two games, but that's just a function of knowing they can't make the finals. And they've had probably 5 or 6 of their best players not available nearly every week of this year. So I give Essendon a bit of a pass. What about you, OB? Who do you think's over and underachieved?
The GWS have definitely underachieved. Grand finals last year, a lot of talent, top-end talent. I think Melbourne have underachieved, but I think that goes hand in hand with Melbourne Footy Club. So,
part of their brand.
Yeah, that's right. So those two would be probably the underachievers for mine. Overachievers, I'd probably say the Saints. I think they've done really well from where they've been.
OB out.
Yeah, that's
all of a sudden rapid improvement.
Exactly, and the coach. That's all right. We won't go there.
Don't cop too much from him.
Wow.
He's one of the biggest coolers we have on this show. So just.
I'll warm up, Sammy. That's all right. We'll warm up. And I think also for what Port Adelaide have done, top of the ladder all year is a fantastic effort. So I'm surprised that I think they're fourth on the premiership line of betting. So I'm really surprised about that.
And, of course, Carlton making it up from the bottom.
Well, I think Carlton are a side that I think will go really, really well next year, and they're definitely a big improver.
I don't know.
Cripps, they've been all over Cripps, and they've proven a different way to win games, and I think they'll only improve as their depth sort of goes along.
That's right. Sam Walsh and Paddy Dow and these guys have another year under their belt. David Teague, really good coach. Probably just needs another coach, sort of a senior assistant alongside him, which I think they're going to get from all reports. So I think onwards and upwards for the Blues. Now,
Dow, so now we sort of talked about the Tigers and teams outside the top 4 a couple of weeks ago. Now that the Tigers are into the top 4, is there any teams down at the bottom end of the top 4 that can win it? OB thinks that there might be a bolter and it's pretty even in the top 8.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think you're going to see the premiership winner coming from the bottom 4. But if you are someone that is inclined to think that there is, I would strongly encourage you that you back them in an add-up format. Don't take the premiership price that is available. Back them, for your unit stake or whatever it is, and just roll that in each week, and you will find that price is way bigger than any premiership price that is currently being put up at the moment.
That is gold.
Nice little pearl. And let's finish off with a quick look at the early markets. Have you done any snipping of those early prices Week 1 finals.
Yeah, I just a small go because I'm already fairly invested in Port for the premiership. But I just think that market with the Port and Geelong is not quite right. Having them at the pick with Port at home, I mean, I've got the Cats rated slightly higher than Port, but once you factor in the home ground advantage, I've got sort of Port around 6 points, circa 6.5. So the pick for Port at home, that's a bet for me.
SJT odds via topsport.com.au.
Port Adelaide is $1.85. Geelong Cats $1.96. Did Geelong play all right after a bye? Is that?
They haven't. They did this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had a bye and they had a win for the
But
first time in a
historically,
long time.
flat.
Yeah, historically
Yeah.
they're pretty average, so I'm with you there, Dowson.
Dowso will get more information closer to the finals action, but thanks for joining us.
No worries. Thanks, guys.
Up next, we've got Cam Dean talking more AFL. Welcome to the show, Cam.
Hello, guys. Great to be here.
Now, Cam, it's the pointy end of the season. You are having fill-up after fill-up. Tomo Hawkins and Port Adelaide. You just all your futures bets are sailing to the line. I almost got Lachie Neale suspended for you. Now, we've spoken about premiership odds and how bookies calculate it. They basically multiply all the odds of the finals matches and work it out that way. Dowso says don't back any side right now outside the top 4. Is there any value at the pointy end of the market, though? Any teams in the top 4 of premiership betting that you'd back now?
Yeah, it's interesting that the multiplication doesn't normally stack up for those bottom teams in the bottom 4 because of they're all up. There has been a few years where it's sort of worked, but this year, again, it doesn't look like I like any of the teams outside the top 4. For me, I've done my odds and I've come up with Port and Brisbane both look quite good value. And Richmond looked like they're around about the price. I know I said last week I thought Richmond were a big lay, but after I've priced up every single match and looked at all of the different complications, I've come up with Richmond at around about a 320 price. So
right
I'm
on the
not
button.
so keen. Yeah, right on the bottom, but not so keen to lay them. But pretty keen on Brisbane and Port. And it makes sense too, just not the maths of it, that they both got home finals, and if they win, they both get home finals again in the prelims. And no other team's really going to get that luxury.
And historically, that's a massive, massive edge. Sammy, do you want to just zip through the AFL premiership market?
No worries. So the Tigers are the favourite, of course, $3.20. Lions, $4.80, along with the Geelong Cats. Port Adelaide's in at $6. The Eagles are $11. Bulldogs, $16. Collingwood, $18. And Saints at the bottom at $31.
Now, OB probably doesn't know this, but if Saints win the flag, I have to basically play a round of golf in my undies and we film it and put it up on the podcast link. So I'm not looking forward to that if lightning strikes.
Well, I think you're safe.
We can report those kinds of things on the internet these days, so it's fine.
Just to put you on the spot a little bit, Cam, how are the Saints the outsiders against the Bulldogs?
Yeah, well, this one thing the Saints have got going at the moment is they've got a really healthy list, and generally coming into finals, healthy list is one thing that you want. And the Dogs, they've probably got in better form, but they're going to have Norton potentially out, and Wallace has got a sore shoulder, and the Saints played well last week, so I think they're a good chance.
I couldn't. Yeah, I looked at I've only just seen the market there, and it does look the wrong way around for my liking. Now, your Brownlow medal bet, Lachie Neale, you're on him at big odds. Travis Boak, will you trade out any movement there, or are you just going to go down with the ship? Or
it's just another year of a boring Brownlow, though, isn't it? That's the one thing. Like, I was looking recently at the history of the last 5 Brownlows, and I think 3 of them have been really, really short price favourites. And then again this year, I don't think I've seen one model predictor Phantom Brownlow where they haven't got Neale on top.
okay,
I think he just wins. I think his right price is around about the $1.23 shot price. So, yeah, I won't be trading out of that, I don't think. I think I'll just be letting it ride.
And then NAB Rising Star, Caleb Sarong, $1.25 looks very, very short. OB's here shaking his head. He's not happy.
Can Matt Rowell win it?
Well, it's funny you say that, OB. Matt Rowell's one that I was looking at a few weeks ago. I thought he was big price at the 40-1 just because he was the best player of the year, and it was a very soft year in terms of Rising Stars. But I just think Sarong probably did enough in the last few weeks to win it. But I think at the price, Rowell's still probably a little bit of value.
And I think...
but the markets have been cool.
I think he's $41 into...
19, I believe.
Yeah, $19, Matty Real. So, yeah, he's still probably a little speculator there.
And this thing on the voting as well, it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's not a cumulative voting throughout the year, so he might still get a few votes.
Yeah, still a sneaky. Now, Cam, speaking about sneaky, you're a very sneaky operator. You like betting early out wide. What about the week 1 of finals? Are you with Dowson? Have you snipped Port's odds early?
Yeah. I was very surprised to see that Port went up early, slight outsiders. I rate these. I think I've spoken about this before, but these top 4 sides, I rate them quite evenly, and I definitely don't rate Geelong higher than Port. So with a home final, for them to go out, 1.5, 2.5 point outsiders, really did look like quite good value to me.
How short do you think they'll start, Port Adelaide?
I think they'll probably go off about $1.77 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think they should. I personally think they probably should be shorter than that.
What about anything else out wide for us, Cam?
I do like the Tigers, the way they're going, but geez, they're short this week, and I think I'll end up on Brisbane. Brisbane have a home final, and they're 7.5 point outsiders. So they're essentially saying that Richmond are sort of like 2-goal better side than Brisbane, or 10 points at least, with that home ground advantage added in. And I don't think I can have that with Brisbane getting Harris Andrews potentially back and maybe Jared Berry. Richmond have been good, but they're a funny side, aren't they? Like the sum of all the players, they don't look like they've got champions, but they just keep delivering. But still, I'm going to have to oppose them here at the plus 7.5 or 8.5, depending on what that gets to.
Well, all right, we'll give you the rest of the week off, and we'll talk to you next week when it's starting to get very serious in AFL land. Thanks, Cam.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
If you're having a bet on the AFL finals, make sure you head to TopSport. They're offering $2 lines to win up to $200. $2 lines means absolutely no margin for the bookie there. It's all going to end up in your pocket. Make sure you are gambling responsibly and call 1-800-858-858 if you're concerned.
Up next, we'll talk NRL with Top Rope Tedeschi.
Welcome back to Little Birdie. It's Sammy and the boys, and it's your favourite time of the week. It is Hall of Fame time.
Hall of Fame time. And we've got OB in the studio, AFL Ops Manager, and we're going to talk Hall of Fame time with Top Rope Tedeschi. Welcome to the show.
Thanks very much, guys. Good to be here.
Now, it's been a big couple of weeks for the Hall of Fame. Jamal Murray, the Wolf, who survived every betting shop on the planet, and Benny Arn, the man with the glass eye.
Who's in well last week?
And who's the nominees for this week in the Hall of Fame?
We all know the value of a good jockey, right? It's when you're on the punt, the value of a good jockey and a bad jockey. You only have to go to the owners of Tagaloa, who will soon tell you the value of a good jockey and one who doesn't do you any favours. This week we're going to go to maybe the best in the world, the Magic Man.
Michael Walker.
Jorge Moreira. 6 winners on the weekend at Shartin.
Moreira.
6 winners. And, few can ride bags as well as the Magic Man, but has bagged 8 on a card twice before, 6 on the weekend, and plenty at the top of the market. Hard to go past the Magic Man this week.
I think Heartbreak City was one of the best ever losing Melbourne Cup rides I've seen with Moreira. He's an absolute star. I think Almanda beat him that week. So Joe Moreira is an absolute shoo-in at one stage or another for the Hall of Fame. Now, Rugby League. It's all happening in Rugby League at the moment, Top Row. There's been a 25% staff cut and 50 million saved per year. St. Peter has delivered yet again. He's wielded the axe.
He has, but he should have started. He should have started with the bunker. That would have been a starting point. That's not a problem that's going on with the game. But look, whenever does St. Pete not deliver? Such has been his impact on the game. That's there's such a win as barely caused a ripple in the game. It's there's more business as usual for Pete Volandy. So it's good for the game. Good for the game. They need to slash some of the costs that Todd Greenberg put into the game. So look back under old management, as I say, kind of getting back to a more efficient model. So good for the game.
He's read the lean startup by the sounds of it. During
I'd nearly consider the NRL as a startup. It's been run like it for a while.
Oh, if it was a startup, it would have died a long, long time ago.
Now,
the way it's been run.
Now, Matt Tripp's been making ripples. He's come out and fired a couple of shots across the bow with the Broncos. Dave Donaghy, they're going to consider suing the Broncos if they forge ahead with plans to poach the Melbourne CEO. Matt Tripp was quoted, I think it was in the Courier Mail, "This is not the way I run business, and we'll be enforcing our contract with Dave. If the Broncos are up for a legal stoush, then tell them to get ready. I'm all for it." I'm not going to sit back and allow the Broncos, who think they are the 500-pound gorilla in every room they walk into, and try and bully the Melbourne Storm by cherry-picking our chief executive. Matt Tripp does not mince his words, does he?
You didn't miss there. Look, it's always good to kick a team when they're down, and the Broncos are well and truly on their knees right now. So, well done to Matt Tripp. But look, he survived in the cut and thrust world of gambling and deserves all respect in the world. But different kettle of fish when you get to rugby league. Here's a tip: Dave Donaghy will be CEO of the Broncos, and that's just all there is to it. And I dare say that the Storm will not get a penny for it. Yeah, look, the Broncos do carry on less. Every club in rugby league carries on less. But Dave Donaghy wants to leave.
Can't blame him.
Who wants a CEO that doesn't want to be here, right?
Well, who wants to live in Melbourne at the moment?
Yeah.
Well, you can blame. If Matt Tripp is suing anyone, it should be Dan Andrews. You can get McHugh to sink the slipper in him if he wants to. If he wants to go after those who are down, he's not going to get much lower than Dan Andrews, is he?
I would have thought so. Now, there's a couple of big moves in a couple of matches. Lots of players out for the final week. Sharks, Raiders and Storm Dragons. What's happening?
Yeah, Raiders and Storm both named virtually unrecognisable teams. So the Storm, I think, opened, a 7.5-point favourites against the Dragons. They're now 2-point outsiders. The Raiders, despite potentially having a top 4 spot to play for, have also rested nearly all their players. Unrecognisable side went from 11.5-point favourites to 2.5-point underdogs against the Sharks. So, pretty hard games to grasp. You'd probably rather be on the teams that are actually fielding a first-grade side. But just very interesting moves. So kind of teamless Tuesday on a final weekend of the season is a pretty interesting time for betting. So there were plenty of rumours that both those sides would be a little short, and I think no one saw the kind of the carnage that ensued. So plenty of middles out there for those who got the early prices.
Mm. And what about games that shape the finals? Anything there?
Not a lot. So the Raiders need to win and need a paramount loss to get to the top 4. That's probably the big one. So that's why it was such a surprise that the Raiders were so short. The Roosters-Rabbitohs game will not have a huge bearing on the finals, but will kind of help them, the makeup of it, so to speak. The real interesting game, though, from a finals, from a ladder position point of view, is Broncos-Cowboys. Broncos 1.5-point outsiders need to win, or they will collect their first wooden spoon. So there is a nation cheering on the Cowboys on Thursday night, and if you're not a Broncos fan, you're certainly behind the men from Townsville.
Market there, Sammy, for the Thursday night football?
Well, it's, as you said, the Cowboys are the 1.5-point favourites. They're $1.78 if you want to back them in the win. Broncos are $2.05.
What about Go.
I'd like the Cowboys there as well. I think they've got a pretty strong side. Tom Lolo back to the starting side. Josh Maguire back from suspension. Broncos can barely name a side. They've got that many injuries at the moment. So
total points, 44.5.
I think it'll be a fairly high score. They're trialling some new rules this week, and all designed to speed the game up. And neither of these teams can tackle, so that should make for a fairly open affair. So I'd rather be on the over as well in that one.
The Bunnies had a little bit of a wobble last week. They've got the Roosters, Friday night football, Sammy odds.
Yeah, well, the Roosters are the 10-point favourites there. They're $1.28 if you want to back them in the win. Souths are $3.75.
Top rope.
Justifiable?
A little bit of a wobble, losing to the Bulldogs. That is one of the great stumbles of all time. The Rabbits have conceded 22 plus their last 3. The wheels have come well and truly off. The Roosters are absolutely flying. They average margin of victory since 2016 when a double-digit favourite, 19 points. They've got a good record against the Bunnies. They've covered 9 of their last 10 of scoring 30. They scored 34 last week. I think they will touch up their hated rivals this week.
That's a deep, deep stat. I love Tedeschi's stats. He's not just entertainment. He's not just a coach killer. He's a stat man. Now, the best for the week, top rope.
Best for the week, I am going also to Friday Night Football, the early game. The Gold Coast Titans, absolute fire at the moment. They have won 5 straight. This team ran last year, could barely get out of its own way. They are coming up against the Knights, and they've been pretty hot and cold lately. Titans have covered 7 of their last 11 against the Knights. They've won covered 4 of the last 5 at home. The Knights, 8 of their last 25 when they've had to travel by plane somewhere they've covered. So I think the Titans can get the job done and start 2021 with a bit of momentum.
Gee, they're the 3.5-point underdogs. $2.35 in the win versus the Newcastle Knights at $1.60.
You've convinced me. We'll get you back next week to talk finals, week 1, and the Hall of Fame. The international magic man, João Moreira, the Hong Kong wizard, enters the Little Birdie Hall of Fame. Thanks, Top Rope.
Fantastic, team.
Well, if you want to take advantage of any of Top Rope's tips, and you should, make sure you head to topsport.com.au. They are offering even money lines for bets up to $200. So get on board, but make sure you are staking for your circumstances. If you're worried about yourself or a loved one, call Gamblers Helpline on 1-800-858-858.
Up next, we'll talk a bit of racing with Dream Team Matt, Golden Rose Group 1 Racing.
But you can give them to the birds and bees. I want money.
Yes, we all want some money. You're listening to the Little Birdie podcast where we talk to some pro punters, and none more favourite of mine than Mr. Matt Taylor, or T-Swizzle as we know
Welcome
him.
to the show, Matty Taylor. We've got Luke O'Brien here with us.
How are you, Baba?
Hey, Sammy. Hey, Scoot. And g'day, OB. How are we all?
Mate, we're absolutely on fire. Now, I suppose we'll get the dirty laundry out of the way. What's this?
Right.
You and SJT go back quite some time.
Back to approximately 2017. What happened then, T-Swizz?
Well, you know, I like to think of myself as a bit of a talent scout in the racing industry. And Sammy and I are LinkedIn friends from something I saw, I don't know, a long time ago. But I knew Sammy would be make something of herself, and, you know, look at her now. Airborne.
A little happy birthday message on LinkedIn.
Slid into my DMs.
Ultimate creep mode in 2017.
Yeah.
Well,
That's right. I used to creep on LinkedIn, and now I'm just Instagram like all the other good creepers.
If you want to find him, it's at Dream Team Matt on Twitter or T Swizzle on Insta. Bit of a closet Taylor Swift fan, are you, mate?
I'm not really a fan, but I thought it was quite funny for an Instagram name. But yeah, anyway, I do my best. To make people laugh on Instagram.
Okay, now believe it or not, we're going to talk racing with Matt, and we're going to talk the Group 1 Golden Rose. We'll straighten the wheels up here. Matt, you've done the form early. The barrier draw was yesterday. Run us through your Golden Rose thoughts, and maybe even the run to the Rose, and build up the backstory.
Yeah, well, I mean, we talk about all the stuff around Farnham and whatnot from a few weeks ago, but the way I've done the race, Rothfire, it sat sort of just behind that sort of strong tempo. It wasn't as ridiculous as the stewards have made out it was, but it was a fast tempo, and look, it looked quite soft on the line to me. Old Kirk, who was the flashing runner from the race, I think slightly, I think it's been made out to look a bit better than it was just because it was sitting back off that tempo. So for me, Rothfire, I might get real short. What is it, about $1.90 at the moment or something like that? I think that's a great price.
Rothfire is $2.
$2, yeah. Get on that. Look, I just think it's a class horse. The only issue is his worst performances have been on softish tracks, and it says it's soft at the moment, but I think it should be okay for Saturday. But he looks a genuine horse, and even though Old Kirk was taking ground off it, definitely Rothfire's a way better run in that race. So that's complemented Old Kirk, in my opinion. So I can see Rothfire being firmly backed by all the big players.
So what, more $1.70, $1.80?
Yeah, definitely $1.70. Maybe you could even start shorter, I think.
Wow. That's a big move.
It
That's a
just
massive move.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it looks bomb-proof, and, the data guys are going to find it because its times are just completely off the chart.
Big syndicates.
Absorbed the hot tempo last time. There's just no real logical way to say, who can turn the table, in my opinion.
And especially with the weight swing there on Ollie Kirk. Now, Farnan, what do you think about the Everest? Can it bounce back and be a contender in a race like the Everest?
Look, I'm not a mounting yard person, but I've got some spies out there. Glenn, who works with the Rant Boys, he got the vibe earlier that the horse had not grown, and I think you guys may have spoken about that before. But I can't see it bouncing back. I think it went 8 lengths above average on what I can see, different to what was presented to stewards. But 8 lengths above average is. Okay, it's fast, but a good horse who leads can handle that, and it just capitulated. No, I don't think it can bounce back at all. I don't know. It takes a brave person to back up on Farnham. He looks, just not ready. He's not there for me, this preparation.
How many do you think the great PVL will let in to watch the Everest? It seems like the marketing dollars has been completely slashed, and I've barely heard about the race. And from my opinion, I say this all the time, but I think the Golden Rose is the most exciting race on the Sydney calendar for the whole year, and I don't know why it's not promoted as such and built up as the great race. Maybe it's because it's out at Rose Hill and out in the west with, I guess, there must be the degenerates out there. I can't believe it. It's the race that I love. Is there going to be full crowds? What's going to happen there on Everest Day?
Look, I don't know what they're going to do, but PVL does everything he can possibly to make the Everest work for him. I think he just finds money from wherever he can. But I don't know what the rules are going to be with this crowd, but it'll be tiny, and it'll be shadow of its former self. They'll probably have the fake crowd noise like the AFL and the NRL are doing, I reckon. It's going to be a shadow of the atmosphere of previous races. But it looks a good race this year. I think it's a good betting race.
And what about a horse to follow for this Saturday or for the spring in general? Is there one runner in New South Wales or Victoria, or a runner that has been catching your eye?
I've had a bit of a look. That Maunga horse, it's I think you like that, Scooty Dencher. It's going down to Melbourne next start.
Yeah, hopefully it can trot in the Caulfield Guineas, but Mighty Boss and Kementari is something that I've still not got over. So you just never know in a Caulfield Guineas. Some of the tactics sometimes are like hell for leather speed up front. So who knows? But
that Mungo looks a freak from what I can see. On Saturday in Sydney is a horse called Love Tap. It looks like a pretty progressive horse.
Mm-hmm. For the gloaming?
And for the gloaming, assuming that accepts. I don't think acceptance has come out yet, but Love Tap looks good to me. One of your favourites, Russell Camel Toe. I mean, what's it called? Russell Camel. Yeah. It's a freak, and
he's starting to lube up a bit.
Those grand syndication boys. They've got some good horses. It's Me, and obviously it looks a great horse. It'll win the Kosciuszko. And Behemoth is another one they've got. It's been accepted to the Everest, so it's a good hope there. So It's Me looks a freak. Stick with Russell Camelot in everything.
No, he did it again.
It's some good racing this time of year. Let's get better around Nature Strip. Hopefully we can get it beat again.
Now, a good friend of the show, Mitch Beer, and our good friend Anthony Jupp, they're all big KFC connoisseurs, but I've known you for quite some time, and you're every bit as good as them on the fang when it comes to KFC. What's your go-to? This is twofold, this question. Do you eat it after a good or a bad day on the punt, and then what's your go-to dish?
Well, that's the beauty about KFC. It's perfect after a good day on the punt, and also just as good after a bad day on the punt, really. So, and I'm at war with KFC a little bit because my favourite dish was just the old hot and spicy chicken, and you just can't get that in New South Wales anymore. So it's on the bench, really. So I have to sort of go through a loophole and order the Zinger box.
All right.
And you get the few pieces of a hot and spicy that way, and the Zinger burger. So, mate, it's a good drop. I'm trying to stay off it during COVID. I need to drop a few kilos myself, so that doesn't help there.
Oh, if there's an angle, you'll find it. I love that. The Zinger box, just to get that hot and spicy sensation.
Yeah, exactly. How's OB going in there today? He's a good man. 2 of the 3 panellists on Little Birdie are at my wedding now.
Yeah, I was there. Oh, you didn't get a start, Sammy.
Sammy might be at the next.
Wow. T-Swizzle is on fire.
Oh, jeez.
OB's speechless.
I've got too much hair for her in my head.
And how's how's the fitness regime going there, Babs?
Look, no cricket, Obes. You know, I know you're a fan of my cricketing career, but I'm trying to do a few trot and canners around Clovelly and Coogee and that sort of thing. But I'm getting back there, mate. It's not going too bad. How about yourself, folks?
No, struggling, mate. Just a couple of walks with Jack, and that's about it. Now, just on your cricketing career, you did you have played with some very big names. Who'd you open the batting with?
Wasn't it Khawaja?
Is that who you... Yeah, it was when Khawaja was a couple of years younger than me. He was... I grew up playing with him at Randwick Petersham.
And the dog
star.
And the dog scratch?
Yeah, Simon Cadich. I was lucky to bat with him a few times in first grade. That was an absolute honour.
I think OB's had a bit of
Nathan Torrett.
Has OB had a bit of a cricket career? I've heard a story about OB, and I think it was like most runs for the season.
Here we go.
And it's come down to the last match, and he's missed out on by one run, and the waterworks have come on. He cried for 4 days. Any truth? A little birdie told me that one. OB?
It wasn't 4 days. It was 3.5.
Oh wow!
But I did take the most catches, and I won the table tennis trophy, and I played the triangle in the school orchestra. So I was a hard hitter back in the day.
Oh God! I'm getting the wind up here, but you've been great on debut, Matty Taylor at Dream Team Matt or at T Swizzle on Insta. Find him on LinkedIn. He loves to be sliding in or
just down for a chat anytime.
He's very vocal.
Yeah, if you guys need an endorsement on LinkedIn or something, just write me a DM. $50 an endorsement or something.
Sensational. So it's Rothfire this week in the Golden Rose, Love Tap in the Gloaming, Maunga, and Russian Camelot. Horses to follow. Thanks, T-Swizz.
That's the one. All right, see you guys. Thank you.
That's all we got time for on Little Birdie Podcast. Big debut performance from OB.
Huge. Loved it. You're welcome back anytime.
Oh, thank you, Sammy. It's good to be here.
There's a lot of bald-headed men creeping into your life now, SJT.
Oh, too early.
Too early?
I'm only 28. Calm down.
Favourite part of the show or takeaway from the show, OB?
Oh, look, I think I have to back Matty Taylor's best for the week, and I'll be on Love Tap on Saturday.
Love Tap.
I'm still a little starstruck from the last segment with Matty Taylor. I'm actually going to back in top sport here. I like the Titans, the Gold Coast Titans, to take on the Newcastle Knights.
And top rope Tedeschi. I can't wait to back Port Adelaide in a week's time, and I think he's on the money with Rothfire. And there's just some great racing coming up, so we'll talk more about that next week. It's been fun. Thanks, OB.
Thanks, Goody. Thanks, Sammy.
Catch you next week.